That nigga got the boots, beard sprays, man, look. That nigga got the garment with the shades, man, look. That nigga got the spikes on his armband. And he got the Sheila David on his charm, man. No, I'm not lucky, I'm blessed. Yes, my lady in the dress, they hating, we dead fresh. I'm making their ass sweat with all this masculinity. I can tell she feeling me, my swagger on infinity. And this ain't something you can buy. They asking who am I traded in my suit and tie. And I just got a garment from the captain. Catch me in the club smelling like platinum. Check out my Hebrew drip, my Hebrew drip. You know I'm Hebrew fresh with my Hebrew chick. And you do not want tests, I got my Hebrew click. I know you can't understand and I'm on some Hebrew shit. Check out my Hebrew drip, my Hebrew drip. Check out my Hebrew drip, my Hebrew drip. You know I'm Hebrew fresh with my Hebrew click. I know you can't understand and I'm on some Hebrew shit. Check out my Hebrew drip. Thy cheeks are comely with rows of jewels, thy neck with chains of gold. We will make thee borders of gold and studs of silver. Hebrew drip.
What is it?
Purchase your tracks today.
La Yasharala, which means to Israel. Sar Wapanya Hakatam, which means turn to face the east. I'll start with the Lord's Prayer, first in Hebrew, then in English. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Hayah, Shamka, Yahweh, Malak Wathka, Taba'ah, Ratazaka, Hayah, Aisha, Ba'arataza, Kawa, Hayah, Bashamayam, Natan Lanawa, Lakam, Kal, Yawam, Wasalak Lanawa, Kawabwath Nawa, Kasalak Nawa, Kawabwath Yanawa, Wala'ah, Taba'ayanawa, Banasayawan, Abal, Hawashainawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Ha Malakwath, Waha Allah, Waha Tapa Arath, La'ai Walamyam, Aman. Now in the English, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it. Next, we have the prayer for power. Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Babakashah, Nathan Lanawa, Haka, Haka, Larapa'ah, Kal Makala, Wakal Madawa, Haka, Latahar, Ha Matazariam, Haka, Laha Kwayam, Ha Mathiam, Haka, Il Rakawath, Hata Ma'ala, Lagarashan, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Thawada, Aman. All right, in English. Lord, in the name of Yahweh Shai, please give us the power to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease, the power to cleanse the lepers, the power to raise the dead, the power against unclean spirits, to cast them out, in the name of Yahweh Shai. Thank you. So be it. All right. Next is bless Israel. Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Barak Lanawa, Wa Yasharala, Waha Bayath Saparia, Barak, Rapa'ah, Magun, Hagun, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Thawada, Aman. All right. What I just said in English. Lord, in the name of Yahweh Shai, bless us and Israel and the school. Bless, heal, shield, protect, in the name of Yahweh Shai. Thank you. So be it. All right. Salakia.
I'm cut these, man, real soon. I was gonna go to the barbershop.
Gotcha. Second service is a little bit different than what we do with class. All right, so no worries, it'll be cool. We'll just go along. We're gonna be doing a lot of reading in Hebrew.
That's what's up.
All right, so today we're going to be in the 8th chapter of Deuteronomy. All right, so first I'm gonna read it in Hebrew. I'm gonna read a couple verses in Hebrew, and then I'm gonna read it. Then I'm gonna read it in English, and then we'll break them down. All right. The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 8, verse 1. Call. Ha Matazawa. Ashar. Anakya. Matazawak. Hayawam. Thashamar Wana. La Aisha Wath. La Ma'aiwan. Thakhayawan. Warab Yatham. Waba'atham. Warashatham. Ath. Ha'arataza. Ashar. Nashabai. Yahweh. Laba'ath Yakam. Verse 2. Wazakarath. Ath. Kal. Hadarak. Ashar. Halayakak. Yahweh. Al-Hayak. Zah. Arabayam. Slakia. Shana. Bama Debar. Lamayan. Anathak. That's like Ainathak. Lanastak. Lada'ith. Ath. Ashar. Balababak. Hatashamar. Matazawathiwa. Ath. That's like it. La'a. Verse 3. Waya anak. Waya rabak. Waya Akalak, Ath, Haman, Ashar, La'ah, Yada'aith, Wala'ah, Yadaiwan, Abathayak, Lama'ain, Hada'aika, Kaya, La'ah, Ayal, Halakam, Labadwa, Yahaya, Ha'adam, Kaya, Ayal, Kal, My Wataza'a. It's like My Wataza'a. Paya, Yahweh, Yahaya. It's like Ha'adam. All right, let's start with breaking down those first three. All right. All right, it says, Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 1. All the commandments which I command thee this day, ye shall observe to do, that ye may live and multiply, and go in and possess the land which the Lord sware unto your fathers. Right? So, like, even today, you know what I mean? Our people are searching for a place that they belong. Right? Because we try fitting in every society that we go into. Right? We what, the 60s, mainly the 60s, right? Our people were out there getting attacked by dogs, sprayed with water hoses, just to fit into a society that never wanted them and will always reject them, right? So what we really need is our own land. And these commandments, right, are the only way following these commandments are the only way we're going to get our own land, where our people can actually flourish, right? Where our people can be great in their own right, right? Because we've been great in every captivity. We've been great in every place we've been. But in those places, you know, they've taken our resources. They've taken, you know, of course, everyone knows that it was a so-called black man who invented the light bulb. But since he so happened to work for Edison, you know what I mean? Edison has the credit, right? But it wasn't his invention. It was his employee's invention. But because of the way this society is set up, it's always set up so that one way or another, your oppressor will get credit for whatever you do, right? So, and the Most High commands that, you know, for us to do these things so we may live and multiply. He wants us to multiply. He wants us to have all these little baby's kids running around, right? But he wants them to be in a land that is their own, right? So they can be raised up in their culture. They can be raised up knowing who they are. See, our children, they act completely different depending on if they know who they are or not, right? Most of our kids out here are just trying to find purpose. Most young boys that join a gang just want a family. They just want brotherhood. It's not that they just want to sell drugs. No, they want to be able to provide and support, and they want a family to belong to, right? But that is the only way that is shown in this country.
under our oppressor, because that is the way he deals with his people, right? You know, we didn't get being a gangster just from, you know, how we operated as a people. We watched the Italians, right? This is how they operate among their people. So that's what we took in, right? We need our own land completely separate from these people so we can be the people that the Most High created us to be, right? So we could actually be the kings and princesses that the Most High has commanded us to be, right? Let's keep going. Verse 2. And thou shalt remember all the way which the Lord thy God led thee these 40 years in the wilderness, to humble thee and to prove thee, to know what was in thine heart, whether thou wouldest keep it. It's like wouldest keep his commandments or no, right? This relates to today because, you know, our people had left captivity and they were in the wilderness for 40 years, right? They had to go through trials. They had to go through whittling out. You know, there was millions that left with Moses, and there was only 2 people that were alive that left that actually entered, you know, our kingdom, entered Israel, right? And that was Joshua and Caleb, right? Those are the only 2 that actually entered the kingdom, and the reason for that is because it was a weeding out process. We had to go through some things, and that relates to today because right now, you know, when Christ comes back, you know, I was having a conversation with one of my ribs the other day, and we were talking about how, you know, whenever we came out of a captivity, you know, we would be righteous for a little bit and then go back to the way we were, and then that's how we ended up in another captivity, right? But this right here, where we in, is the worst captivity we've ever been in. After we get out of here and Christ is our king, we will never return to the way we are now. Our people will never return to selling drugs. You know, we will never return to leaving our women, leaving our children. That's something that will never happen ever again. And why is that? Because we will actually follow the Most High this time, which is what we were commanded to do from the very beginning. But that was one of those commandments that we just couldn't keep, right? Let's keep going. Verse 3. And he humbled thee and suffered thee to hunger and to feed thee with manna, which thou knewest not, neither did thy fathers know. See, he allowed, when it says suffer, most of the times in the Bible, it does not mean, you know, how we think of it as in feeling pain. It means to allow something, right? So he allowed us to be hungry and then fed us, right? So that way we would understand how we should only lean and depend on him for sustenance. Because what our problem was when we came out of Egypt, you know, we started complaining against Moses. We started saying, in Egypt, you know, we had meat. We had all this other stuff to eat, but now you brought us out here to the wilderness to die. Well, you were slaves. Like, our people were so concerned about eating, they didn't care about being beaten to death, right? But the Most High was trying to show us that he should be what we solely depend on and rely on, right? And that's one of the reasons why, you know, only 2 people made it from Egypt to Israel, right? Because you just walk out of slavery, right? Where y'all getting beaten and they killing your babies, you know what I mean? They doing what the most unspeakable things at the time that had ever been done to people, and because of some burgers, y'all want to go back? Y'all want to go back for a Whopper? Like, y'all willing to trade freedom and the lives of your children for a Jumbo Jack? Like, that's the type of people we were. All of them had to die. All of them had to go, right? So then when we went into the kingdom, the Most High was when we were heading into the kingdom, the Most High was reminding us how, you know, he allowed us to be hungry so that he would be our source of sustenance. He would be our source of food, right? And that was That was something that their forefathers. Again, it says, "Neither did thy fathers know." Now, again, this is right before we are walking into, eat. What you looking for? Yeah, you go ahead. Yeah, no problem. Right, and so this is what he's telling us right before we walk into Israel. Right, again, like I said, we had already spent the 40 years in the wilderness. Right, so all of the fathers had died out. Right, all of the mothers had died out. All of that older generation had died out in the wilderness because they weren't fit to go into the kingdom. Right, and that is one of the most beautiful things about understanding this truth, right? Because once you understand and once you realize that just because someone passes, it doesn't mean that they're gone forever and they don't get another chance, right? Because we come back in our generations. Because in that state, they were not fit for the kingdom, right? So then they get you get it. So they had to die out. And then they'll prayerfully, most of them got another chance, right, to get it right. Just like Christ. Christ was here. The fifth time, right? Because Christ was Adam, Melchizedek, Isaac. No, Salakia. Yeah. Adam, Melchizedek, Isaac, Solomon, and then he was Christ, right? He had to get it right. Adam messed up, right? Solomon messed up. Isaac, of course, he had his mess ups. Christ is the one who actually got it right. That's why he had to keep coming back until he got it right. Now, our people that were in the wilderness, they needed another chance to get it right because what they were doing was they were murmuring against the Most High. They were murmuring against the priests and the prophets that the Most High had set over the people. Right? There was one man that was chosen from the people that were supposed to lead the people. Right? But other men rose up and said, "Well, why can't we lead? Why can't we be the ones that lead?" It's the same thing today, right? Commander General Yohana is the man that is over this nation, right? That was by the choice of the Most High God. The Most High God put him in that position, right? But there are other men who murmur, why can't we be? Why we gotta follow him? Because he is who the Most High God has put in that position, right? This isn't like the American so-called political system where you get to elect and choose the person that you like the best. No, the Most High God chooses our leaders for us, one from among our brothers, right? And it is him that we should follow, right? He has always had one single solitary leader for the entire nation of Israel, right? So you can follow who you want to, or you can believe what you believe, or agree to disagree. All that stuff is garbage. All that stuff is against the word of the Most High God. The Most High God chose one leader, right? And we're supposed to follow him, right? Because he's the one who's supposed to follow the Most High God, and he is accountable for all of our souls, right? Because he's over all of us, right? So the Most High was telling us, that how we should look back at that thing. Don't just look at the suffering. Look at who was providing for you, right? That he said he suffered thee to hunger and fed thee with manna, right? He's the one who fed you. Yeah, he allowed you to be hungry, but he also made sure that you had a way to sate that hunger, a way to make sure that you were no longer hungry, that you could eat, right? Let me keep going. All right, so that which thou knowest not, neither did thy fathers know, that he might make thee know that man doth not live by bread alone, but every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the Lord doth man live. See, this is something our people forget in Christianity, and it's the main point of Christianity, right? It says that we cannot live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the Most High. Right. Most of our people are, for lack of a better term, zombies. They're the walking dead, right? They do walk around and they have a semblance of life, but they don't live because they don't walk by the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High God, right? That is what our people have become. They have become zombies. They're lifeless bodies just walking around, right? There is no life in them, right? The Most High God, His law, statutes, and commandments, they are life. They are breath. They are the simple thing that you need to survive, right? And most of our people don't have it. They don't have that manner. They don't have that breath, that life that is in every man that follows the law, statutes, and commandments. And this is why, like in Ezekiel, why the Most High compares us to a valley of dry bones, right? And the priests and the prophets got to go out there and speak to those bones and preach to those bones and breathe life into those bones, right? That's the same as our people. That's the same as what this is saying right here, right? Because you're not alive if you're not following the law, statutes, and commandments, right? All right, let's go to verse 4, and we're heading back to the Hebrew. All right, verse 4. Shemalathak, La'ah, Balatha, Ma'ai Layak, Warag Laka, La'ah, Batazakwa, Za, Arabayam, Shana, verse 5. Wayadatha. It's like it. Wayadaitha. I'm. Lababak. Kaya. Ka'ashar. Yayasar. Ayash. Ath, Banya, Yahweh, Alahayak, Mayasarak, verse 6. Washam Marath, Ath, Matazawath, Yahweh, Alahayak, it's like Lalakath, Badarak Yawah, Wala Salakia, Wala Ya Ra'aha, Athal. Verse 7. Kaya, Yahweh, Allahayaka. Mabaya, Arak. Al, Arataza. Tawaba, Arataza. Nakalia, Mayam, Ayanath, Wathahamath, Watazaayam, Babakwa Aiha, Wabahar, all right. So let's go over that in English. We starting at verse 4. Thy raiment wax not old upon thee, neither did thy foot swell these 40 years. So the Most High God is telling them how, you ain't been wearing tattered rags after you walked out of Egypt. You know what I mean? Your shoes ain't got too tight on your feet. They got ripped in shreds, right? All these 40 years. So you been without a land. You've been traveling for 40 years, and you ain't been without food. You ain't been without clothes. Your shoes is still in perfect condition, right, for these whole 40 years, right? Let's keep going. Verse 5. Thou shalt also consider in thine heart that as a man chasteneth his son, so the Lord thy God must chasteneth thee. See, just like when we was leaving Egypt, right? The Most High God could have just as easily destroyed us there like he could have in this captivity. Because let's be honest here, without the Most High God making us who we are, right, there is no way our people would have survived the captivity that our oppressor had us in. There's no other people on the planet that could have survived it at all. You see what the so-called Jewish man, what happened with him, and was at most 5, 6 years, 10 years at most. Let's say they started with the harassment, right? The 5, 10 years, and almost wiped them out completely, right? They reduced their numbers so much that it was a international outcry about this. We've been slaves to these people for 400 years. Over 400 years. These people, listen, had any other nation suffered what the Native Americans did, they would not be here. As you can check that in England and in Ireland and in Scotland, where these Edomites came through and wiped out entire peoples. There are peoples who are no longer on this earth anymore because of what our oppressors did when they came in and conquered their land. Right? The Twa people are not real. They don't exist anymore. That's what St. Patrick's Day is. St. Patrick's Day is a celebration of the total genocide of a people. Right? The Twa people. Okay, so they say they celebrate because St. Patrick drove the snakes from Ireland. There were no snakes in Ireland. It was the Twa people that were living in Ireland, and he led a group of soldiers who murdered and killed every one of those people so that his people can take over that land. Right? That is and when you actually look at it, 99% of our oppressors' holidays are about murdering entire peoples. That's what they're about, right? About either wiping out or almost wiping out everything and everyone around them, right? So, we have to realize that, our God is he's for us, right? And he's trying to remind us of how we depended on him when things seemed at our worst, right? This is why we have high holy days, right? Our high holy days are to remind us of these things, right? For example, we just had the memorial of the blowing of trumpets, right? And in that, we went over how the point of that one, is to keep us alert, right? To let us know that we're at war, because that's what a trumpet blast was. It was something that lets you know that you're at war, something that lets you know when there's danger afoot. Let the people know when there's a threat. Because like how I went over in the class. In those ancient cities, right? Most of the people didn't actually live in the city walls. They lived outside the city. That's where all the farms were. That's where all the agriculture was. That's where most of the people, especially the poorer people, lived. They lived outside of the walls. But when you heard that blast, it was an enemy army approaching. So you needed to get in those walls, right? You needed to know, hey, stop what you're doing and get here before that army gets to you, because they're going to kill you, right? And then also we went over how, the priests and the prophets of the Most High God, are that trumpet. Right, that's what we go out there and do. We go out there and blast that warning, letting our people know that we are at war, right? And that and what they need to do to get safety from this enemy, right? So that is why we have all of our high holy days. They are to remember those things, right? And the Most High God right here is telling us to remember exactly what He did for us in the wilderness, right? We always want to complain about something, right? We got freed from the most powerful nation on the face of the earth. We never starved. We always had food. We never had tattered clothes. And every battle we fought, we won. But we still found a way to complain. Right? Because, in actuality, we are an ungrateful people. Right? It's all about, like what Janet Jackson said, what have you done for me lately? Right. This is why the Most High God has to remind us these things. This is why every year we have these celebrations to remind us of these things. Because in 2 months we act like nothing happened, even though we just got free from a 400-year captivity. Right. So this is why the Most High put these things in here. Because again, we are a stiff-necked people who just cannot see reason, right? The Most High God is very reasonable, very rational. He's very logical. Like it's not too difficult to understand. Listen, if you create something, right, you pick and choose what you like, and then you want them to follow certain rules. You have certain things set up for it. You have like I believe it was a Commander General Yohana that was saying like the Most High God is the greatest film director ever. Right, you want the actors in their positions to play their parts, right? No, we just don't want to play the parts. We don't want to read the script. We want to go and improvise the whole thing. And the Most High is trying to get us back on track and say, listen, follow the script. You know what I mean? Follow the lines. Listen, look at everything that we gave you, everything you asked for in your contract, everything you bargained for. Just do your job. Right? I got these villains out here. They gonna do their job. We got these other extras out here. They doing their job. You just need to do your job as a people, right? And so you need to be reminded of the things that you bargained for, right? That's why it started off. We're saying that the land that the Lord swore unto our fathers, right? This was a contract that we signed. This was an agreement, and He was reminding us of this agreement, right? Did you have you look like you had a question? No question? Cool. All right, so let's go to, all right, now we're in verse 5. Thou shalt also consider in thy heart. Now, when it says in thy heart, it means your mind, right? You don't think or consider something in your heart. You consider things in your mind, right? But it's just, it's again, we speak a poetic language, So when we talking about something in your heart, we really speaking about in your mind, right? So thou shalt consider also in thine heart that as a man chasteneth his son, so the Lord thy God chasteneth thee. See, we are in this position and we are going through this because the Most High God is correcting us, right? All these other nations out here, they doing the same things we doing. Of course they are, because we following them, right? But they not getting the same punishment we getting. They not going through the same hell we got to go through. And why is that? Because the Most High God, as a father, is chastening his sons. Not everybody's sons, his sons, right? The nation of Israel is the people of the Most High God. So he is correcting us. And he corrects us through these struggles and trials and tribulations we go through. All right. Verse 6. Therefore, thou shalt keep the commandments of the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways and to fear him. See, Christians have a false view of the Most High God, right? They don't understand what it means to fear him, right? They think they do until you start mentioning and bringing up some things of what fearing God really looks like, right? Or why you should really fear God. Because here's what they fail to realize. The Most High God is in control of everything. So the fact that the Most High God, that your people went into slavery and had to be slaves under these people, that comes from not fearing God. That is the punishment of not fearing God. He sends Edomites to come and deal with you and rule over you. He sends the most filthy and disgusting, vile creature he ever made to rule over you. Why? Because you don't want to listen. So he's going to correct you. And how is he going to do it? He's going to do it with them. He's going to send, and that's how it worked in our captivities. Our captivities were from what you would consider civil, right? Where it was, not necessarily, honestly, a lot of the captivities we had were like this portion of this captivity, right? So when Daniel was in captivity, he had a high position in the government. You know what I mean? His people were doing fairly fine. He fought for his people, but they were ruled over by others, right? And it wasn't as overt of an oppression, but it was just you don't have that control anymore, right? And then it goes from things like that to things like you are literally in chains. We are literally giving your children as snacks to our belts and our purses, because that's the only reason we want to catch them is for belts and purses. So we're going to give up your babies for that, right? That is the result of not fearing the Most High God. He took a little bit more from us each and every time. On this last one, he took everything. He took our names, our heritage. We didn't even know where our homeland was, let alone feel sorry for its destruction or even want to try to get it back, because we didn't even know we had it. And we didn't know it was ours. He took everything from us in this captivity. And that is because we refuse to fear him. Like, he is a great and terrible power. Like, in Christianity, they teach you that basically you can just tell the Most High God what to do and he's supposed to do it. That you don't know who you talking to. Like, you can't know who you talking to, right? We supposed to understand, who the Most High God is, so that we can fear him, so that we can walk in his ways. You can't walk in his ways if you don't know him, right? And in Christianity, they tell you to get rid of what's over half of a book, but honestly, all the words of the Most High God. Like the New Testament, of course, their word. The New Testament, of course, was inspired by the Most High God. I'm not saying that it wasn't, but the New Testament was more so an application of the Old Testament. Well, if you got the application, but you don't have what you're supposed to be applying, then how can you ever use the application properly? Like, I can tell you, oh, this is how you should be. But if you don't know what I'm saying, or you don't know where I'm coming from, or you think this is something I'm just making up, then how can you ever truly follow it? How can you ever truly understand it? Right? It gives you a half of an understanding, right? It gives you a piece of knowledge, but it gives you just enough not to know exactly what you should be doing. So that way you're easily tricked, right? Yes, speaking in tongues is an amazing thing from the Most High God. We understand that. We just don't understand it. It's not shamala, 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 shamala. You see what I'm saying? That piece of the knowledge that they keep from you is the part where you go off. That's exactly what they do with not understanding the Old Testament. Well, if you understood the Old Testament, you would understand when it's talking about tongues, it's talking about languages. And when you have the gift of speaking in tongues, the Most High God will make you understandable to people whose language you don't even understand. But they can understand you. That's why there has to be an interpreter. That's why there has to be this, there has to be that. Because the Most High God has things set up decently and in order, right? And if the Most High God has things set up decently and in order, and the Christian church tells you to start from near the end and keep reading, that's not in order. You start at the beginning and then work your way to the end, right? And that is how you're taught how to fear the Most High God. Because, again, in Christianity, by removing the law, statutes, and commandments, you also remove a lot of the scenarios where the Most High God was punishing people for not following these laws. You don't understand why you should fear him because you don't see what happens when you don't fear him, right? You don't see the curses in Deuteronomy. You don't see that. Why? Because you stayed out of that part of the book, right? You don't fear him for that. You stop reading what's called the Old Testament, right? And you stop realizing why your children are getting taken away from you. You don't realize why is more men in prison. There's more men in chains in prison right now. More of our men in chains and in prison right now than there was during slavery. Right? We have more physical slaves of our people at this point than we had physical slaves of our people at the height of slavery. Right? Because let's remember that the Constitution says that no man can be held as a slave except because of committing of a crime. So each prisoner, by the constitutional definition, is a slave. Period. There are more of our men in slavery as the Constitution defines it today than there was before Lincoln, quote unquote, freed the slaves. All right, this is what happens when you don't have the foundation, right? When you don't understand how to fear the Most High God, right? All right, let's keep reading. Verse 7. For the Lord thy God bringeth thee into a good land, a land full of brooks of water, of fountains and depths, that spring out of valleys and hills. Verse 8. A land of wheat and barley and vines and fig trees and pomegranates. A land of a land of oil olive and honey. Right? So this is the Most High God saying, look, this is where I'm bringing you. I'm bringing you to a place to where every need that you have or want or even luxury that you ever could think of will be here and available for you, right? Everything that you could ever think that you would ever even hope to request for is here. You just got to follow these laws, statutes, commandments. Follow my laws. Everything will be laid at your feet on a silver platter, right? But we kept wanting to do our own thing. Right, because what we would do was the Most High God would take care of us, right? The Most High God would look out for us, right? And then we'll start to believe it was us that was doing it. we'll start to say, well, yeah, we won that battle, or we conquered that enemy. Yeah, we're rich because of our great works, and not understand that it was the Most High doing those things for us, right? And then as soon as something go wrong, first thing we doing is running to the Most High, just like we do today, right? We need to understand, and I haven't seen it outside of here, that you don't own your great works. You don't own your accomplishments. Those all belong to the Most High. Because see, in here, we understand that being meek doesn't mean that you're soft or that you're weak, but it means that you submit to the authority that is over you. Right? The Most High made it so that you can do whatever it is that you're doing. Period. There's nothing that you've done that is solely you. Right? So if, let's say, you in the school and you get real good at scripture breakdown, guess what? That was the Most High. The Most High allowed that for you. The Most High allowed you to be good at that. That's not you. Yes, you were able to put in the work, but he gave you the understanding, right? Let's say you're real, you catch on to the language real easy, right? You real good at the language, right? You study, you take care of that. I mean, you take care of what you need to take care of. You had every last Uncle Dash class, you taking notes, all this other stuff. The Most High gave you that drive. The Most High gave you that knowledge and that understanding. So when you are great at that, that's the Most High that made you great, right? And our people drifting away from that is exactly how we end up in this situation, because we fill ourselves up with pride. We puff ourselves up, right? We gas ourselves up because we start to see all these great things we can do, and we say, forget the source. It's me. I'm the source, right? I'm the one who's doing all of these great things, right? And we forget that it's the Most High that is actually taking care of us. He provided all these things. Like, for an example, in here, you know what I mean, where it says he provided us, he gave us a land of wheat and barley and vines and fig trees and pomegranates. You know what I mean? You go out to your vineyard and look around, like, look at all these grapes I grew. Look at all this great work I did. No, he gave that to you. He could make your land arid, so there's nothing you could do to grow your grapes, right? He could cause a drought. You can't water your fields, right? He could do whatever he chooses to do, but he chose to give you good soil. He chose to let those vines sprout up. He chose to bring you the early and the latter rain, right? He provided everything that you needed to do whatever it was that you did. Right, he woke you up and allowed you the strength and the energy and the wholeness of health to even be able to go out and work those fields. You could have been sick for 2 months. How your fields gonna grow? How you gonna tend your fields? How you gonna keep the weeds at bay? You can't, because the Most High didn't allow you to. Right, that's why when you get sick or when you end up in the hospital, the Most High is putting you there for whatever reason it is. Right, maybe it's to sit you down. Maybe it's for you to realize exactly who's running things around here. Our people have a habit of not realizing that and going away from that, and it's all perpetuated and pushed by the Christian church. Right, the Christian church allows you to believe that you can do whatever you want to do as long as you come back and ask for forgiveness for the Most High. That's not true. Right, the Most High, look, as a Christian, most Christians I know, they plan to sin and then ask for forgiveness. It's not like they fall in sin. It's not like they slip up and end up in a sin. No, they plan on doing it. And then, like yeah, I know I'm not going to take care of that woman. I know I'm not going to, keep that woman, but I just want to hit. I ask for forgiveness later. You know what I mean? Oh, I know I shouldn't rob that man. I know I shouldn't sell that woman drugs, but I need that money. So I'm gonna pray to the Most High, forgive me, but I need to go do what I need to go do. You're planning to sin, right? And we think we can get away with it. Why? Because we don't fear him. And we don't realize that He's even given us the opportunity to come back. He's even given us the opportunity to follow his laws, statutes, and commandments. Because sometimes, you just need enough rope to hang yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like you can get your act right. You can get your mind right. You can get in here and actually repent and actually change your life because the Most High allowed you to. Right? The Most High has opened your eyes. Because some people just will never have their eyes open. And that is the choice and decision of the Most High God. All right? All right, let's get back to the Hebrew. We're going to verse 9. Oh, starting at verse 9. Let's look it. Aratazah, Ashar, La'ah, Banasakanath, Ta'akal, Ba, Lacham, La'ah, Takasar, Kal, Ba, Arataza, Ashar, Abanyaha, Barazal, Wamaharar, Yaha, Tha Khatazab, Nakashata, look, Nakashata, it's like it, Nakashath, verse 10. Wa'akalath, Washabaitha, Wabarakta, Ath, Yahweh, Alahayaka, Al, Ha'arataza, Hatabah, Ashar, Nathan, Alak, verse 11. Hashamar, Lok, Panah, Dashakak, Ath, Yahweh, Alahayaka. Lobalath Yat, Shamar, Matazawath Yua, Wa Mashapat Yawa. Wa Kakhwath Yawa. Ashamar. Anakya. Matazawak. Hayawam. Verse 12. Bana. The Akal. Washabaitha. Wabath Yum. It's like Wabath Yum. Tawabium. Tabana. Wayashabath. Verse 13. Wabakwarka. Wataza Anka. Yakabian. Salakia. Yerabian. Salakia. Wakasap. Wazahab. Yarabah. Lak. Wakal. Ashar. Lak. Yarabah. Verse 14. Waram. Lababak. Washakakatha. Ath. Yahweh. Alahayaka. Hama wa Tazaya Aka. Ma'aratazar, Matazarium, Mabayath, Slakia. Ibadium. All right. All right, verse 15. Hamawali Akaka. Ba Manabar. Hagadal. Wahana Wara. Nakash. Sharap. Wa'ai Qarab. Wataza Ma'awana. Ashar. Ayan. Mayam. Ha Mataza Ya'a. Lak. Mayam. Matazawar. Hakal Mayash. All right, let's go over that in English. All right, so that's starting at verse 9. All right, verse 9. A land wherein thou shalt eat bread without scarceness. Thou shalt not lack anything in it. A land whose stones are iron, and out of whose halls may thou diggest brass. So, the Most High is telling us, like, this is what happens, and this is what you get for following my law, statutes, and commandments. Right? You get a land where you will eat bread without scarceness. You will have there's no need for food stamps. Right? Everybody got food. Spilling out their pantry. Right? You eat as much as you want, and you still got food. Right? Thou shalt not lack for anything in it. See, of all these things that we just read about, what we get for following the commandments, we look around today and see that we have the exact opposite for not following the commandments. Right? The exact opposite on every point. Right? And this is why we as the priests and prophets of the Most High God go out there to teach and tell our people to get back to these laws, statutes, and commandments. It's the only thing that will reverse the course that we're already set on, right? It's the only thing that'll fix the hood. It's the only thing that'll fix the ghettos, the barrios, the reservations. It fixes us where we're at. Because, see, that's the thing. It's not about, as our people think, voting in the right politician to get the right programs and services. The problem isn't the area, it's you. You don't follow God's law. So no matter where you go, no matter what area you're in, it will be the ghetto. It will be the hood because you're there. You're the problem. You're the bug. You're what needs to be fixed. And how do you get fixed? By following these laws, statutes, and commandments. Christian churches are set up to keep us the problem. They're set up to keep us as the bug. Right? However you want to look at it, right? The police are only doing what they're doing to our people because we won't follow the laws of the Most High God, so now we're under their authority. If we followed the laws of the Most High God, we would be protected. But we don't. So we put ourselves in the hands of the police department. And we already know what they want to do with every young black man, woman, and child. Right? They want you in a hole in the ground. Because, you don't benefit them. They are against you. They are your enemy. Right? And here we teach our people to get away from that enemy. Right, to avoid that trap that they have set for us, to get to exactly what the Most High God said He had for us. It says, "Whose stones are iron." Most of the time, back then, city walls were created from stone. So when it's talking about your stones are iron, that means your protection, your defense. You have an iron wall surrounding you when you follow the laws of the Most High God. An iron wall still works to this day. Like, you know what I mean? That straight up that translates straight up to right now. Out of whose heels you may dig brass. Now, anybody that has been in the hood for more than 5 seconds know that brass. Well, brass. First off, brass is one of the main ingredients to copper, right? Everybody in the hood know how valuable copper is. You get them copper pipes. Look, crackheads. It's like I used to work doing security, right? And my job was to guard a shopping center, a grocery store. The grocery store had gone out of business, but they didn't take any of the piping, so they had a guard on the parking lot for 24 hours a day just to guard the copper in the building. Right? So it may seem like a more of a base metal, but it still is brass is very utilizable. It's very workable. You see a lot of it in the ancient day in coins, in pottery, in bowls. It was basically their version of aluminum, right? Imagine if you just had an aluminum making factory in your backyard. That's what this is saying. You have one of the most usable materials that you can just dig up out of your hills. You know what I mean? That as an economy, that makes you an economic powerhouse. And again, this was between what they call the Iron Age and the Bronze Age. Bronze is also made from brass, right? So basically, these two things define the entire area we live in, and you just have them at your disposal whenever you want them to, right? These are the things that you have, right? Just in abundance. Like they always say, oh, Africa, you could go and dig up. The Most High set up our land full of resources. You know what I mean? Set up our land full of all these things that every person around us to this day still wants to control. Like they've been fighting over Israel since the last time we were there. They still fighting over it, right? And it's because they know how the Most High has that land set up. It's not just a key point as far as resources, but it's also a key point as far as geography, right? It's almost the natural trade center of the globe. You know what I'm saying? Back when the Roman Empire was just getting started and the Phoenicians were controlling the global economy, they based it out of that exact area. After that, when they started trading more so into Africa and Europe, that was the That was the go through, right? You had to get through there. Like it was a valuable trade port, and it's in the middle of all the land routes, and it's on the ocean, and it's on the sea, right? So it was a very valuable place, and it still is to this day. And that's how the Most High God set us up, right? Now, where are we? We in the hood where you can't even find a tree for real. All the trees is dead in the middle of summer, right? Ain't no grass. Like, there's no natural resources that you can just walk outside your door and acquire, right? So, yeah, where you live, if you collect rainwater, you go end up in jail. Because that's illegal. Because they own the rainwater, right? But that was not to be so. That's not how the Most High God had it set up for us. But because we choose not to follow his law, statutes, and commandments, this is where we end up, all right? Let's keep reading. Verse 10. When thou hast eaten and art full, then thou shalt bless the Lord thy God for the land. It's like it, for the good land, which he hath given thee. Verse 11. Beware that thou forget not the Lord thy God in not keeping his commandments and his judgments and his statutes, which I command thee this day. See, this is the warning. He said, like, I'm going to give you all of this. You're going to have everything your heart desires, but just don't forget to keep his commandments, his laws, statutes, commandments, his judgments. You better keep those, right? And why is that? Verse 12. Lest when thou hast eaten and art full, and hast built goodly houses, and dwell therein. Verse 13. And when thy herds and thy flocks multiply, and thy silver and gold is multiplied, and all that thou hast is multiplied, then thine heart be lifted up, and forget the Lord thy God. See, this is exactly what I was talking about, right? The Most High God provides us everything that we need. You know, it starts to get built up, and then we get to the point where we like, you know what? I did that. You know what? That was all me. I get the credit for this, right? This is exactly what this is talking about, right? And to this day, we do this exact thing, right? This is how you know that this book is, people say, oh, it's 2,000 years, but this book is a timeless book, right? This is exactly what is going on right here, right now in 2021, right? And this was written by Moses, right? It's still the same thing. The Most High, the Bible is a true book. There's no other way around it. There's no other way you can say it. This exact scenario happens right now, right? The Most High God, you know, he starts to give you things. He starts to make ways because you are following his commandments. You know what I mean? Armies flee before us because we're following his commandments. You know what I mean? You come in nowadays, you come into the school. Everything in your life is starting to change around you because you following the law, statutes, and commandments. Then you start to feel like, you know what? That wasn't God. That was me. I did this, right? It's sick, but this is the same problem we keep having. Right? Moses warned us about it. Right? Before we even had a land to call our own, we were warned about this. But this is what we continue to do, right? Let's see. Then thy heart be lifted up, and thou forget the Lord thy God, which brought thee forth out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage, right? So we forget, and we don't remember that the Most High God is the one who delivers and saves us, right? Your money ain't gonna save you, right? Just because you got money, you know what I mean, and you not following law, statutes, and commandments, it don't matter to your oppressor if you a rich nigga or a poor nigga, you still a nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't matter, right? Because in this society, you will always be a second-class citizen. Always. Because this is not your land. You living in another man's land under his rules and his house. And you ain't going to overrule no man in his own house, period. Right? So until we follow the law, statutes, and commandments and are given our house back, We will continually be under this man in that way because we won't admit and realize and consider that this was the Most High God who does everything for us. Right? That we should love and fear him and follow his law, statutes, and commandments. Right? There is no so-called black, Hispanic, or Native American parent that would allow their children to be as disobedient as so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are to the Most High God. Listen, there's no black mama that will allow you to not do anything she said and then still give you what you didn't ask her for. Even let you get to the point where you asking her for something else. Where you asking her for something hey, mama, I know, you know what I mean, I didn't do my homework, didn't wash the dishes, yard ain't cut, but I need some money for this weekend because I'm trying to go out. Here's the thing. When you wake up, after she put her hand through your chest, right, then you'll realize maybe you shouldn't have done that. We treat the Most High God like he's supposed to be like, oh, okay, here you go. It's not even asking. It's telling, no, you're going to give me that money because I need to go do what I want to do. I ain't done nothing you said to do, mama. I ain't did nothing you said to do, daddy. But give me money. Give me your car so I can go out and do what I want to do because I feel like doing it. No, it's and we still think we as a people love God. No, you don't. You disrespect the Most High God because we don't fear him. We don't act like he has the authority that he has. Right? He's the one that brought down the greatest power in the world just to show us that he loves us. And we act like he's nothing. All right. Let's see. All right. And actually, so with that, we are actually at the time. So with that, Shalom, Israel.